The Architects of Solitude. I began my journey not with a grand theory, nor a sudden, blinding flash of revelation, but with the quiet, persistent observation of human behavior. I watched patients and colleagues alike, individuals of great intellect and passion, yet all of them seemed inextricably bound to a singular, dangerous vision. They were like travelers on a desolate road, their gaze fixed only on the vanishing point, blind to the landscape rushing past on either side. It was a terrifying, dedicated narrowness that promised to elevate them or utterly consume them. The pattern, once recognized, became a simple, inescapable geometry. The energy of the psyche did not disperse randomly, but flowed through 4 distinct and primary channels. Each was a perfect instrument for extracting a specific truth from the chaos of existence, yet each contained the seed of its own destruction. To develop one was to enter into a pact with isolation, a bargain for brilliant light in one quadrant in exchange for absolute darkness in the rest. I saw Talon, the thinker, who saw only the system. Their world was a cathedral of concepts, a towering structure of flawless logic where every piece fit perfectly into the next. They strove for the pure, unassailable truth of the equation. Yet the danger was the tyranny of the concept, the moment when the map became more real, more vital than the territory it was meant to describe. They became deaf to the human consequence, lost in the icy elegance of the absolute. Then there was Niam, the feeler, whose entire being was attuned to the inherent value of everything, a vibrating instrument of moral appraisal. She saw the worth, the sacred heart, in every gesture, every life, every decision. The hazard that stalked her was the crushing weight of moral certainty, a foreboding that saw all deviation as inevitable doom. Her deep insight into human connection caused her to carry the emotional burden of the world, making her fragile and fiercely unforgiving. Flint, the censor, lived only in the immediate, undeniable reality of the now. They were the anchor, the purest of fact, tasting the air, feeling the grain of the wood, understanding the world through its irreducible, tangible presence. Their truth was the inescapable reality of the moment, the sheer, unavoidable fact. But this hyper-awareness made them a prisoner of the present, unable to see beyond the edge of the immediate physical world, terrified of potential and paralyzed by the sheer volume of data. And finally, there was Lyra, the intuitive, who saw the potential in everything, the hidden connections, the truth that lay just beyond the horizon. She did not perceive what was, but what would be. Her vision was breathtaking, a leap across logic and fact. Yet the greatest danger for Lyra was the truth that arrived too far ahead of its time, a prophecy appearing as pure delusion to everyone else. She lived in a future no one else could access, making her an exile in her own time. For each of them, the deepest, most profound insight in one domain brought with it a terrible, catastrophic blindness to the other 3. Talon could not feel, Niam could not fact-check, Flint could not theorize, and Lyra could not ground her visions. They had carved out one perfect shining window onto the world, but in doing so had walled up all the others, condemning themselves to a life of profound, solitary understanding. This focused truth became a burden too heavy to share, an overwhelming weight carried by the solitary figure. Talon became the unbending, logical crank, his flawless system rejecting all human frailty. Niam, the zealous moralist, her uncompromising heart forever broken by the world's shortcomings. The cost of their singular brilliance was the currency of everyday connection. Flint, the inescapable sensationalist, was buried beneath the sheer, deafening volume of the present fact, unable to move or breathe. Lyra, the unheard prophet, was left talking to shadows of the future that no one in the sunlit now could perceive. Each was carrying a truth too heavy for their time, a knowledge so dense it made them utterly, unbearably lonely, locked inside their own magnificent yet incomplete castle of self. The problem was not the brilliance, the problem was the terrible price of wholeness. The one thing that might have saved them, Balance, integration, the patient cultivation of the neglected other three parts was the very thing sacrificed at the altar of their dominant function. Their truth was real, necessary and vital, but by developing one part at the expense of all the rest, they achieved isolated genius, yet paid for it with their soul's devastating solitude.